behind me are French Alps. But instead of going skiing, I thought that I must share a story how I just helped a B2B SaaS founder go from charging $100 for his solution to charging 10 times the amount and actually face even fewer objections in his sales calls and collect a lot of money as a result. So the story was the following, that I had a founder join my program and he's been working on a software solution targeting agricultural machinery related things. So basically his SaaS was allowing people in this agriculture to resell machinery at a higher price. With that said, basically when he joined, he was averaging between like 2 and 5 calls a week, and he was primarily relying on cold calling and dialing outbound. But this was not serving him well because, after trying more than 30 different SaaS channels, I know one thing, and is that when you get inbound leads from ads, you just have so much more leverage on how you can disqualify people, who you actually allow into calls. And thanks to that, you're able to only be presenting your solution to people who are already looking for something you are selling. Thanks to that, he was able to go from averaging like 3 to 5 calls a week to averaging 10, 15 in the first couple weeks of him working with me. But that's not the entire story, because it's just one part of the equation about you getting enough motivated buyers. Because of course, once you start getting 10 to 20 entering your calendar every single week, of course, this does give you a lot of leverage. However, another thing which we needed to fix was his offer and positioning. And this is a tremendously important part, because he was charging just $100 for his SaaS. Why? Because one, he never built successful SaaS businesses in the past. He just played around and built a couple products, but they didn't go far. And he was actually afraid to be charging more. And despite that, he couldn't clearly build a link of why his software can actually be worth a couple $1,000s of monthly subscription. And that's when I came into play. So he was thinking that his software allows these people who are dealing with this agricultural machinery remove the paperwork. And of course, the pitch was sounding something like this, that, oh, I help you remove all the papers which you're working with right now. And thanks to that, your workflow is going to become better. And no surprise to me, he was struggling to be selling this even at $100, because you talk to these boomers and many of them wouldn't want to bother switching from papers which they've been using as their go-to option for like 30 or 40 years. But when I was asking him what's the end outcome you're able to deliver thanks to your solution, he was thinking at a surface level, and this is what was costing him tens of thousands of dollars in monthly recurring revenue. And by now, it's actually hundreds of thousands of dollars, which it turned out to be. So the idea is that when I ask him, what's the actual value behind your product and what is it worth, he was talking about the feature level, how he helps people remove from papers into basically digitalize all of this. But this does not lead to any burning problem in their mind. Then when I kept interviewing him, he was like, okay, the outcome behind them switching to digitalized option allows them to streamline their operations. I'm like, okay, that's better. But now I'd be asking him, then what's the second level consequence of this one, of them streamlining their operations? And that's when I had to make the assumption of, look, because I guess that once they streamline their operations, by the end of this year, it's going to allow them to sample couple other people, couple additional pieces of equipment, and with each of them, their margin is like hundreds of thousands of dollars. He was like, yes, that's exactly the case. Well, no surprise, because after me doing this over 150 times, it's quite common that I need to be giving this nudge to technical and non-technical B2B SaaS founders to help them realize how much their product is actually worth to people. So he came to this realization that his solution actually allows these organizations to sell a couple additional pieces of equipment on a 12-month horizon. Each piece of equipment, as I mentioned, is hundreds of thousands of dollars in extra profit for them. So now, when he was booking these calls, instead of him talking about, oh, Mr. Boomer, we help you go from papers which you've been using your entire life to now having this in the screen, which of course, like many of them would be hesitant to be switching that. He was saying like, would you like to learn more about how we can help you sell 3 more machines by the end of this year? And of course, everyone was freaking intrigued, because how wouldn't you? Now, once he changed his way of presenting his solution, and it was not even about the way he was presenting it, but rather the type of the conversation he was having and the type of value he was attaching his solution to. So thanks to that, we did some reverse math, and it looked the following way. So each piece of machinery, for simplicity, I'll just say, was about 100K. Them using this software, like no doubt, would allow them, if the company is at certain stage, would sell at least 2 additional pieces of equipment. And this is how, instead of him trying to fight for this $100 transactions, he actually started selling at 1K to 2K monthly subscriptions. And many people he was selling to were also going for annual plans, because now, well, if we're talking about a 12-month horizon and them selling couple machines at this annual horizon and time gap, it made a lot of sense for them to now pay between 15 and 30K for this software. Like about a third of them would be going for monthly option. The others would be going for manuals, like annual, sometimes splitting this into annual payments. Not that plot here. Anyways, just this tweak in his mindset and in the way he was like what he was attaching his product's value to, this link helped him completely transform how his startup started scaling, because he went from fighting for like $100 payments to now closing checks between like 20 and 30 grand and another 5 to 10K MRR being added every single month. Quite a story, you know? Why I wanted to share this, I know that a few founders watching this, or I may say thousands, seeing how like how much traction my YouTube is now getting, how many founders are fighting for trying to sell their $200 or like $300 or $500 product. And it's fine when you are just a solo founder trying to get to the first, I don't know, 20, 40K MRR. But as you try to scale, this turns into a huge issue, because now I'm sure you don't want to sit at this $200 a month sales calls for the rest of your life, because you want to place some SDR to do it for you. And that's reasonable. Once you start looking at your unit economics and placing more people on your team, you'll shortly find out that you have no profit margin to work with if you are selling this at $100 to $250 a month subscription. And this is why it's so crucial and so important for you to understand how to go for value-based pricing, and why it's so crucial to realize that you need to be attaching your product's value not to the feature level things, but rather to the longer time horizon outcomes which you drive to your ideal customers. And by ideal customers, I mean those who you're able to drive the most impact to in the shortest amount of time. With that said, look, if you feel that you need some of my help positioning your product correctly, because right now you are sitting with these calls fighting for this couple $100 a month payments, and you feel that this is not the dream business you wanted to be running, then you can go to saascam.com, fill out the application, and then I'll get on a call with you, review how messed up your situation is, see how we can make different tweaks to your positioning, because potentially it might be the case that just by zooming out and looking at what you got from a different perspective, you can actually start charging 10 to 20 times more for your identical product without making any more changes to the product. And I can't count the number of times and how happy I am that I've got so many client results on my channel with guys who come from technical or non-technical backgrounds, sharing how much their lives got transformed after them unlocking a completely different trajectory for their startup. So if you feel that this might be relevant for you, go ahead and fill out the application there. Or if you feel that you are not ready yet and you just want to stick around, then go to my Telegram channel, which I'll put somewhere nearby. And there you're going to be able to discover some of other client results which are happening in real time. Thanks for watching.